Yahawashi, Bahasham, Yahawashi, Bahasham, Rakakadash, the water, Yahawah, the water, Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi, Barakatah, Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi. Shalaki Yahawah, for my sins as I cry. The water Yahawah, for the akin that you supply. The water Yahawah, for the aqua that comply. Kolo Yahawah, Bashim Yahawashi. Barakatah Yahawah, for a power all the time. Barakatah Yahawah, for your mercy every time. Kolo Yahawah, Bashim Yahawashi. Shalom, shalom. It's your brother, Obadiah Halkanan. And here this evening with a lesson that Yahweh put in my spirit, welled up in my spirit to do this evening. And I am so thankful and proud that the Father would allow me to get the message in the lesson and get it out, because that's what's important, getting that message out, his message out. That's all that matters, getting his message out. And that's exactly what we're going to attempt to accomplish today. This evening, rather. So hold on, trying to get straight here, get it together, get things together here. All right, I think we're in good space here, in good place, good space. So yeah. Trying to get that head wrapped together. I should have put it on head time, right? Anyway, okay. As we know, the title for the lesson today, Yahawah Bahasham Yahawashi, is closing the book of Eli's. And E has lies, and so there's a whole lot of other people who have lies. So we're going to try to get straight and make sure that we get in touch with who's telling the truth and who's telling the lies, right? But I'm going to go into a little bit of commentary first. Of course, you got to spread things out in the direction they need to go. I want to give salutations first and foremost to the hopeful elect and all of the scattered that are all scattered around the world, that are the Israelites that look like the heathen, as my brother Malcolm always says, but they are not the heathen, even though they look like it, and they don't probably know who they are until they find out, unless the Most High predestines to wake them up. We want to give definitely a special admiration and thanks to the apostles who have been bringing this word out day in, day out, week in, week out, year in and year out, and have been diligently sticking to the sacred name of Yahawah, Bahasham Yahawashi. And that's the foundational, foremost thing that you really should learn when you get awakened in this truth of ours, is that you need to know the sacred name of the Father and the Son. Yahawah being the Father, Bahasham being the name, and of course, Yahawashi the Son. And you need to you have to have a formation of a foundation in that understanding completely from the beginning, and kind of get off on the right step. Father's been welling up in my spirit. He don't jump on me. There's nothing jumping on anybody that's in this truth, because if something jumps on you, it usually isn't very pleasant. It wells up. Father dwells in our spirit. His spirit dwells in us through Yahawashi, who is the spirit of prophecy, and it wells up in your spirit. And then again, at that time, you are to fulfill your mission and your destiny in getting the word out. So that's important to validate that process. Okay, moving on. we we're at a point in time now where we can see a lot of my brothers they've been putting out lessons in reference to this recent bill that's come out in Canada about the process of cracking down heavily in a major way on teaching anything or speaking anything that they construed as being hate speech or anything of that nature in terms of what the world system that the Father has puppetized Esau Edom to operate in at this particular time towards the end. And knowing that this is what we're faced with at this particular time, it leads into what the Father has welled up in my spirit about in terms of what he wants me to bring out and talk about. And I always have to continue to just give him all the praise and worship and all the glory, all the honor, because it's his, it's always all his. That is something that is a mainstay staple in the way that he's been training me as a child on up. Say that you're not a child, say not a child, right? Like Jeremiah. But hey, we all are, those of us who know better, we know that we are nothing in this situation. We are just vessels that the Father uses as a vassal to get his truth out, and that's the value of where we are. I know that I don't count myself as nothing other than a servant. I never would give any other, I never asked for anything else, and I never would claim I get to do, and he wants me to spread. That's what I'm going to do. You may like it or not like it. Doesn't matter to me one bit. If you care for who I am or what I say or how I say it, I don't even care. As long as I'm getting it out and Yahawah and the angels are hearing it and knowing it, and if that's what he wants me to do, that's what I'm going to do. But I don't want to I don't want to go back into that too much. Let me move forward here. It's interesting that we who have been awakened to this predestiny, we have been predestined to be awakened to this. We understand a few things that are very important, and some of the things that I think are extremely important is to understand the sequences and the foundations of prophecies that have been already established and completed, because there's a multitude of them. I spoke in the last lesson I did that Yahawashi himself fulfilled over 300 prophecies, but all prophecies are not completed. Okay. And one of the things that I think we probably miss quite a bit is the fact that, number one, as I said, the Father he's the anchor. He's the anchor. He controls everything that functions in existence, period. And he manages it all through Yahawashi and his angels to get things done. We clearly know that this is what we're dealing with. Now, I think what we are missing to some degree here is, or we're not emphasizing it. Maybe we're not missing it. I'm not going to say we're not missing it, because I believe that, the brothers who are teaching accurately, the way that the apostles have been bringing things out, they've been doing this for a long time, and they've been quite accurate in terms of bringing certain things out in nuances. We all slip up. None of us are at that point where we have arrived or we got it all down packed. We're still going through these growing pains, but there are some advancements in understanding, and spiritual blockage can be lifted with the right amount of praise, worship, prayer, wrapped in repentance. Praise, worship, and prayer wrapped in repentance. It's not just one facet that does it. And the Father says that. And preparing for the Most High's wrath is paramount to his directions and his directives. Let me explain. All right, let's just take a couple of nuances of some of the most recent prophecies that have come to pass. But when I say come to pass, they haven't finished, but they've been instituted. They've been they've been activated, if I could say that. The prophecies have been activated, but they have time frames within the prophecies that that you have to live through, pretty much, unless the prophecy happens and then it's instant, and then bam, we're on to a brand new prophecy because that one has been completely fulfilled. We have a few right now that are I'm talking about main stakes, what we call pillars in the prophetic process that have been instituted, and they have prophetic timelines attached to it that gets to or will get to the completion. But here's the thing: you still have to live through the timeline since the prophecy has been instituted or activated. Okay, like let's take the Euphrates River. We'll get to the MOTB, but let me go there first on this one. The Euphrates River was said to dry up over in the area of what we call what Western Asia, Southwestern Asia. Okay, they call it Africa, whatever. Whatever. I ain't gonna digress on that. Now that Euphrates River in First Kings talks about drying up, and when it dries up, it's talking about the kings of the north are going to come down into that area, and they're going to have a road, and they're going to go towards leaning towards Armageddon, or Armageddon, as people say, as we call Armageddon. And when that prophecy is fulfilled, then naturally there will be another portion of prophecy that has to be fulfilled when that prophecy takes place. Now they come in sequences, and see, we may not have the seventh, and so forth, as far as the trumps, the seals, the vials. We may not have them in chronological order, but each one of them leans on a prophetic process that has to be initiated. And then when that prophetic process is initiated, there is a span within that prophetic prophecy that is a living span or a living timeline. And as you can see, even in the past, with all of our ancestors in terms of the prophets before us, your Ezekiel, your Isaiah, your Jeremiah, Elijah on down. When a prophetic process happened, there was still a timeline when that prophetic initiation dropped by the Most High Yahawah, managed by Yahawashi. And then that prophet had to live through the timeline until that prophetic process was completed. Now, some of them were almost very quick and instant, and others stretched out for quite some time. Now, see, this is the thing we need to get into major understanding about. When we have a prophecy that is set forth by Yahawashi, and it drops, like, okay, let's talk about now the MOTB. Now, the MOTB, it dropped in terms of the prophecy saying that it would be introduced to the world. Now, it's introduced to the world because there are nations around the world that are already participating in this part of the prophecy, where they are acquiring and getting it, okay, for the purpose that it is given in terms of that MOTB in itself. But check this out. It's not completed because it's not worldwide yet, because it says the whole world will be subject to the buying and the selling, because they have to have this particular device in order to accomplish that. So that means we have to live through the process before that's completely completed. Now, once that's completed, the next prophecy drops, and then there may be a span of time, may not be as long as this one that we're in now, because the MOTBs already has dropped. It's just not worldwide. Now, the next span for the next prophecy that fulfills or fits before it or after it. These things have spans of time upon which you, me, and anyone else that's in the truth, and those that are not in the truth, because it's on the whole wide world, they have to live through it. So, in the process of living through something that is prophetically ordained and submitted and authorized by Yahawashi, what is your plan to live from this portion of the prophecy that's dropped to the end of the prophecy that drops? You are supposed to have a plan from the Most High on what you're supposed to do in the interim when the prophetic process drops, and then when the prophetic process takes root and starts to grow forward towards the end. What is your directive, your direction from Yahawashi, Yahawashi, to go through the timeline when the prophecy has dropped? Now, you got to know that there is direction and information that the Father has given in reference to us to do that, okay? Now, here's an example. All right, Joseph, when Joseph was told by the Father through the dream that the king had, and the Pharaoh, right? And he told him, he said, you're going to have 7 years of famine. Now, he was told that this prophecy was coming. He was given the vision, Joseph interpreted the dream, and Joseph took action to prepare to go through the prophecy and the timeline upon which it was going to go down. Now, yeah, it said 7 years of famine. Now, that gives a whole lot more of the clue than some of the clues we have now on how long a prophecy timeline would last before it comes to fruition or completion. Granted, but let me say this. Joseph did not say, well, if Father says 7, I know he means it. But did Joseph say, well, I'm going to wait a year and then get started? Or wait 2 years and then get ready to prepare? No, he got on it right away. And he started planning. Now, he had to plan what he was going to do based on the Yahawashi in light of what the prophecy said going to happen. So he didn't just sit and wait for things. He took action, as did Noah. Okay? Noah had a different scenario because what? Noah was given the prophecy that the Most High was going to flood and kill everyone except for his chosen people, and he's going to flood the whole world to do it. And that he had to build an ark. And he gave him the information and instruction on to build the ark. Now, if he told Noah it's going to take him 120 years to do it, I don't know. That information I don't have. We only know how long it took. We don't know if he was told in advance how long it would take. But Noah didn't sit still and say, well, let me wait 5 years and see what goes down. No, he got right into it and got going with the plan to get things going, which means the Father gave him directives to get his ass moving. Just like in this world now, we have a tendency of moving on whatever Esau asked your ass to do. Where Esau say, you better get your ass up to do this, that, and the third, or you don't get no food, you don't have no job, you don't get no money, you don't have no this, no power, no this, that, and the third. You don't have none of that, okay? So you get your ass up wherever you get it, be able to get the resources. Esau told you straight up, his prophecy was, if you don't get your ass in motion, you are going to be left out and have a big ass problem because you're not going to be able to fulfill what's necessary for you to function and for you to make it through the timeline that you're dealing with. So it's just like that in general when we're talking about how the Most High is saying, you need to get ready for my wrath. Prepare for my wrath. Our scripture, I'm going to give it to you, where the Most High has told us, many, the elect and many, prepare for his wrath. Preparing for his wrath doesn't mean sit back and then get your ass kicked. It means get on your stick and get ready to work so that you can potentially go through the process of the wrath and come out on the other end as less scathed as possible. Now, we know all the apostles in the past, what happened? They all did die a pretty uncomfortable death. Even John on the Isle of Patmos, even he, when he came back from Isle of Patmos and went to wherever they held him, he still didn't die comfortably. He didn't die in a lap of luxury. None of the prophets or apostles did that. So knowing that this is the case, we all gonna go through some major shit And why not prepare? Okay, let me ask you this. You think Joseph, okay, when Joseph was told to go those 7 years for famine, if he didn't do it, okay, but he did, so he prepared. Now they had to come to Joseph for food, and they had to come. The known world had to come to Joseph for food and substance and resources, right? Now, don't you think Joseph also was prepared to defend all of what the Most High told him to take care of and prepare for his wrath for famine? Yeah, I mean, yes, of course, the Lord Yahawashi was protecting Joseph in what he did because he obeyed. Key word. He was told what to do and he obeyed. He took action and he did what he was supposed to do in order to do what? To prepare for the wrath that the Father was going to put on the world. Now, if someone came to try to take his resources because the rest of the world was going through famine, I guarantee you Joseph was ready to fight to protect the resources of the Most High that the Most High gave to Joseph in order for him to prepare to feed all those that were going to come to him for subsistence and for resources during the famine of the time, during the time of the world. So, knowing that he had to prepare to have it and prepare to protect it and prepare to distribute it, he's being under obedience to the Most High. Okay? So, what's your plan? What's your problem? What's your issue? Yeah, we know it says in Scripture that my servants will eat. Yes, we know in the Scripture that the Most High is going to protect and his elect, and he's put the Tawah on them and everything else. But you still have to move your ass on a plan to deal with his wrath as it comes. Now, I ain't saying that the plan that you come together that he gives you is going to save you somehow and you won't be so safe that you won't be touched. I'm not saying that. So don't get stupid and don't get it twisted. I'm not saying you can prepare and not go through nothing. That's not what's being said. But everyone who was given directives about the wrath that was coming did some preparation. They didn't just freaking sit there and I'm just gonna pray. Listen, you don't do that in the world for Esau. You don't sit there and say, well, I need a job, but you know what? I'm just gonna sit here and pray to Yahawashi that he'll just bring me a job. Your ass will be unemployed and out on the street because you will not have a damn job. Okay? Get your ass up and get prepared for the wrath of Yahawashi. Now, I'm going to use a couple of clips from the book of Eli. So I'm gonna claim the fair use section of 107 in the fair use, so that I won't get hit with a strike or whatever when I show some of the clip and talk about some of the issues that he had to deal with. But see, the thing is, even in the book of Eli, when Denzel was playing that role, he was going through what was left of the world on a mission for the Most High that he was completely protected. But even though he was completely protected, as you know, in this movie, and you go watch it if you haven't recently, and go back and look at with spiritual eyes salve. Get your spiritual eyes and look at that movie again. Back up off the entertainment portion of it and look at it from a spiritual perspective, because I'm going to break down some of the things about it from a spiritual perspective. That's why I put it up. But what I'm trying to emphasize here is he walking through to do the Lord's work as a prophet, right? Couple of key factors. What did he do? First of all, when we all seen the movie the first time, we didn't even know he was completely blind from the beginning. From the time when the ozone opened up, a hole in the atmosphere, the sun came through, burnt up all of everything that had to be burned up and blinded a whole lot of people, except for people who had been blind from birth. He was blind. So he was doing some miraculous, what we always call spiritual power given to one of God's jakes, one of his elect, which he was portraying at the time. And he was doing stuff that he was blind, shooting arrows, okay, animals, a cat for some food. We'll get to a little bit. I ain't gonna show too many of them clips, but I'm saying, something he ate, a bird in the sky was I don't know, vulture, whatever he ate. It was abominable. But at that time, everything was abominable at the end, okay, in the apocalypse. Shooting up bad people, mad degenerates and stuff with a pistol and one shot take. Look, spiritual power, man, he was given that to fulfill his mission. And what did he become? He had a Braille Bible, a Bible that was a blind Bible for people who are blind. Okay, but it was a book, and he studied it. So he had to learn that in the 30-something years he was walking around, take this book to the West Coast so that it can be preserved, right? But he had to learn that, and he became what we talk about, the living word. He became a similitude to that. He had the whole entire Bible, he had the law, which is the Bible, in him. And he had to repeat that verbatim in order to reproduce that King James Bible again. So in essence, it's a similitude to say, you got to look at this with your spiritual savvy eyes and see how this goes down, because that's very important. And so we need to understand that, because we're going to get to some of my scriptures here, but I'm going to finish the commentary. I ain't going to be too long, but I know you know how I am. I do long lessons. If you don't like it, you can go kick rocks, go to my Anyway, who played Denzel, played Eli, he was in isolation. Now think about it. He was isolated within himself as well as without himself. What does that mean? He was blind. Okay? He didn't know exactly how he was going to accomplish this goal, whether he was going to be able to do it. He just had faith. He was literally walking by faith, not by sight. I mean, he was literally doing this. Okay? If you see this right. Okay? Because he couldn't see. He had to use other senses, and he had to have total faith that he was going to be protected, like I said, but a voice told him where to find the book and then where it needed to go, and that he would be protected. And this is the same thing we have and we feel we are talking about. If we go out and teach and preach on the highways and byways or whatever, you're subject to be incarcerated, fined, even martyred. Okay, we know. So, and we're not going to have fear, because I don't believe any of my brothers doing this, anybody that's really doing this work, they're not afraid. You cannot be afraid and do this work. It's just not possible if you're really doing the work. If you're not doing the work, yeah, you could be wishy-washy and get afraid. But if you really are doing this work, you're not afraid what can happen to you by anybody. I'm not scared of, Reuben, tribe of Reuben, okay? There it is. That's me. My brothers are warrior tribe, okay? Gad, Reuben, Issachar. We ain't afraid of no damn body. And we ain't afraid of Esau. We ain't afraid of Jakes. We ain't afraid of nobody. We're afraid of Yahawaah, Bahasham, Yahawashi. That's who we are totally terrified of, because we know how he can do you. Okay? So that's where we stand. But he didn't give us a spirit of fear. And of course we know that, right? Okay, I wrote down a few things. I got good notes, so you're going to have to bear with me from the book of Eli and what happened and whatnot, and on through to what my notes are to finish this up. So we're going to dig into this. We're going to hit the scriptures in a minute, but let me go ahead and finish this up here. I'm going to pull a couple of scriptures out because it sets the pace for everything we're doing. So let's just get comfortable and get ready for that. Okay, first and foremost, I'm going to finish by saying this before I get into scripture. At some point, the Father is going to drop the bottom out of everything, and he's not going to give us any actual warning between this timeline of the MOTB, and World War III and whatever is going to happen, World War III, and then, of course, the MOTB. Now, we could have it all happen. World War III can start and MOTB can finish and be instituted a mandatory all at the same time, or it could be one could start and then the other could follow a little bit after. But in any event, there's going to be some time frame in between where you need to be prepared to be doing something other than sitting on your funky ass talking about, well, I'm gonna just pray. You gotta be doing something. Now, even if you're with all your brothers, we all sitting around in a group, and we might be preaching, teaching, might be out on the highways and byways, might be anywhere. Wherever you are, that's where you are. And once everything goes dark, that's where you're gonna be. Okay, when everything goes dark, okay, let's just say you're sitting there and you got your phone, you're sitting there and, you're thinking to yourself, well, we pulling up scriptures or whatever, and everything's going on. And then next thing you know, at some point, the screen goes dark on your phone. Black. No signal. Okay, so everybody's gonna be like, doing all this, trying to get a damn signal. No signal. Now what? What's the next plan? What's your plan? You don't got no goddamn signal on your phone. You can't reach nothing, nobody. Wherever you think you go to or get back to, you blind like Denzel and Eli. So now you going to go where? If you think you got to go home, because let's say you got some family in the truth, your wife in the truth, your kids in the truth, or your mama, your daddy, or your auntie, or whoever, they in the truth, and they follow what you do, but they can't go where you went when you go to teach and preach. But now you out there, okay? You there, and now everything goes black, everything goes dark, even in the daytime. No communication. You know what? Do you know what to do? Let's just say you do. Let's say you what's your plan? Are you planning to go get to them? Are you planning to leave the brethren, and go see if you can hook your family up and get them secure? Or did you leave them a plan ahead of time to say, when the SHTF goes down, this is where you meet me. Get to this place, or go here or go there, if that's what the plan is. Or do you care? Maybe you don't give a shit and you don't care what happens to them. I don't know. Whatever your situation is, what are you going to do? Because when you're sitting there trying to get a signal and you ain't getting no damn signal on your phone and everybody's sitting there, you're going to be in personal isolation, tribulation, just like what the book of Eli with Denzel was in. He was in personal isolation, tribulation, but he had such the faith with Yahawaah where he was still operating as though everything's going to be cool. Are you going to be able to do that? Have you a plan to be in that mindset and operate that way? Now, granted, it didn't talk about whether Denzel had any family to deal with, as the book of Eli, like a mother, father, or any siblings or kids or anything. So he was really on his own to take that mission, okay? And he wasn't willing to take nobody with him, all right? So think about it. So the isolation, tribulation is going to come. I wrote down this here. It says, Yahawaah gave us only the spirit of faith, not fear, and the spirit of prepare or preparing. Let me say it again. Yahawaah gave us only the spirit of faith, not fear, and the spirit of prepare or preparing. He gave us the spirit to prepare. Okay? All these years, now we've been doing this for years, a lot of us, right? And it says all these years we have been reading and learning to contend for the faith and keep it safe. All these years we've been learning and being trained, right, to contend for the faith and keep it safe, but forgot to live by the actual word of Yahawaah the way he and only he directs us to live by it. That's what's important. Are we living like that? But forgot to live by the actual word of Yahawaah the way he and only he directs us to live by it, as far as living in the way he wants it. See, we have a lot of situations where the Father is controlling everything and directing people who he leads in the paths of righteousness, or he leads you in paths of unrighteousness, because he does all things. You know this. That's right. Left hand, right hand side, he's doing it all. So if you're getting led in the path of righteousness or the path of unrighteousness, he's still doing it. He's still doing it. Okay? Now, the bottom line is, which is it that your lot is? Are you to be led in the path of righteous or the path of unrighteous? Now, he said he had Ruach to lead the rest of the nations astray. We ain't got to worry about them. This is not for them anyway. We ain't talking to them. They don't waste time debating something with them that they didn't create. You heard I said it to you last time. You can't debate what you didn't create. So if you think you can do that, then make sure that those of us who are worshiping, praising, and praying to Bahasham, Yahawashi, wrapped in repentance are not near you when you think you can accomplish that. Because I don't want to be near you when he brings his wrath down on you for trying to be blasphemous and think that you can debate what you didn't create, because you can't. And you're not contending for the faith by arguing with people that this book has nothing to do with. Okay, that doesn't contend for the faith. Okay, that you're just contending for shekels. You want shekels. That's what you want. Okay, you want Esau's shekels because you love him. You love Esau's shit. You want to be with like Esau. That's why you're trying to monetize everything. That's your plan. See, that's your plan because you show it. And the Most High directing you right through it. Okay, as I said before, trying to keep it safe by debate of the faith. That's not the way to do it. Not Yahawah's way, but their way, the ways of man's debate. That's what we see going. We see a lot of organizations, they're debating the way they want to debate and say that this is of the Most High. Telling people that certain books are not valid. Oh, Hebrews ain't valid. Oh, Paul is like, no, he's not right. You know, you can't trust Paul. See, that's you ain't debating anything. Okay, you're debating man's way. And this Bible is not. And Peter, it tells you right off the bat. You know, we are to obey the Most High, not man. All right, but you know, you got people who will worship people and man, and worship man, a certain man and certain people because of the way their spirits. They mimic their teachers to the degree where they say things that are blasphemous to the Most High and Yahawashi. But you know what? They don't care because they don't fear the Most High. They fear their wicked slave master, Esau, and they fear his fake deity. Okay, so this is what it is. But we need to understand that the wicked are not going to accomplish anything that they're supposed to. And that's why in the book of Eli, there was a lot of lies, but there was a lot of truth if you have eyesight. Okay? Now, I remember this particular clip here. Okay?
That was my cat.
Okay, let's get it up here. Give me a minute.
That was my cat.
All right, check it out.
Fine specimen. Fine specimen. I saw you knock him off the bar. No, I kind of shoot him. I didn't really knock him. You raised your hand at him. Won't happen again, I promise you.
And Martz, got another drink, huh?
That cat's been coming in here for 2 years. It's got more right to be here than you. I don't want any trouble.
Well, that's too bad. Because you got it.
I know who you are. Murderer of innocent travelers on the road. You are going to be held to account for the things you've done. Do you know that? Do you? It's okay. Grab my things. I'm going to walk out of here. All right, brother?
He's going to quote Genesis chapter 3 and around 17, part of 17 and 18, and you'll see. He's going to use sword of the Lord, and he's blind. He came prepared. He is prepared. Prepared.
Be the ground for our sake. O thorns and thistles it shall bring forth for us. For out of the ground we were taken, for the dust we are. thus we shall return.
Please.
All right. As you can see, just wanted to get that clip out to you to see. See, Most High is showing us that this man was a prophet bringing the truth to a place that the Most High designated for him to take it. And he was protected. But I could show you the clip when Carnegie, Gary Oldman shot him, right? He was protected. And he went down, but he ended up still getting up, but he didn't shoot him in the head or anywhere else to, take him out completely, right? And you saw that lightning strike happen in the background, which means the mantle, just like with Elijah, and then Elisha came on the scene, and then that girl, Solara, she became the next to have the mantle to take forward the word to wherever it was going to go next, or what have you. But again, the prophetic prophecy was given by the Most High, Yahawashi to him to fulfill that portion of the mission, and he fulfilled that portion of it. But it didn't complete it yet, because if it was completed, she wouldn't have put on the glasses and the backpack and the knife and the sword and, the Walkman, and then headed, I guess, east, okay? Because they came west, so I guess you're going back east. So I'm saying there's going to be a timeline between when a prophecy is put forth and it is initiated and it is seen and it's come up, and then it goes through a time period where your preparedness is going to have you walk through like Eli, or go through to the point when you get to that end of that prophecy, and then the next one comes up. Well, that's why I always say the Most High gives us the clues. He says, clue here, fulfill that clue, to the next clue, to the next clue. And this is what he was doing as a blind man, walking by faith and not by sight. He was fulfilling and finishing the clues. So let's break down some of the scriptures through the timeline, which is what I'm trying to explain to you. Okay. Now, as we can see in the beginning of what happened with Eli, the first thing he comes upon when he was walking through the wilderness, so to speak, everything's decimated, the apocalyptic period, he came upon, he saw a cat, but we can get to the cat part, but then there was a picture of a gun, the sword, or the gun that was laid down, right, during that time. And Esau was given the power of the sword, right? So we know that's the case, right? Because it says here, we're going to talk about the fact that the power of the gun was minimized with Esau and the weapon that was laid down. You seen the gun laid down, and then you seen Edomite that was down, okay? And then it would continue to pan forward in terms of, you saw what? A cat showed up, right? Now, first and foremost, we go to Genesis, all right? So if we go to Genesis, I'm going to go to Genesis 27. So go with me, and I'm gonna start at 37. All right, just to scripturalize Esau's and what he's given, right? Okay, and I'm going to start there. All right, Okay, all right. 37. And Isaac answered and said unto Esau, Behold, I have made him thy Lord, and all his brethren have I given to him for servants, and with corn and wine have I sustained him. And what shall I do now unto thee, my son? So, in other words, he gave Jacob everything which he's supposed to get anyway, because that was already predestined before the foundation of the world that would happen for those bugged out wacky tackies that think that Jacob stole the birthright, but he did not. 38. And Esau said unto his father, Hast thou but one blessing, my father? Question. Bless me even me also, O my father. And Esau lifted up his voice and cried like a damn baby, which is they always doing that, right? He wept. And Isaac his father answered and said unto him, Behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth, which we see, right? And the dew of heaven from above, and by the sword shalt thou live, and shall serve thy brother. Now you see by the sword, that gun, that's one of the types of swords, okay? Serve thy brother, and it shall come to pass when thou shalt have the dominion that thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck, which is what you see. And of course, we know the next precept, and Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing wherewith his father blessed him. And Esau said in his heart, which is to date, still to date, the days of mourning for my father are at hand. Then I will slay my brother Jacob. And man, we've been getting slayed and getting our ass kicked ever since, because that's how the Most High set out this process for cleanse and purification to get back to him in his presence in his realm. Okay, so we know in Genesis that's what happened. But what I want to also key in on is notice what I said, that the cat that came upon that downed Edomite was going to try to get a little snack from him. But what Denzel did with being a blind man and having a bow and an arrow, he shot the arrow and he got that cat. He took that cat out, which takes me to Ezekiel chapter 34 for about what happens with the prey and what happens to the predator and the prey. Okay, so Ezekiel chapter 34, right? If you go with me there, all right. 34, and I believe I'm at 28. Yeah, that's right. Ezekiel chapter 34 and 28. And it reads, And they shall no more be a prey to the heathen, neither shall the beast of the land devour them, but they shall dwell safely, and none shall make them afraid. Right? So, in that instance right there, they had a switchover where the mouse, remember, when we get to the house, what did he do? Denzel took the cat down, and when he took that cat down, he took him in for food, right? And he was eating the cat, and he fed some of the prey, fed some of the predator to the prey when he fed it to that mouse. So you got to look at things and pick up on them when you're watching stuff like that. You can pretty much see how that gets down, right? Let me see, where are we here? Yeah. Okay. And then where else we got? Yeah, we had some more Ezekiel chapter. I'm still in Ezekiel. I want to go to 35 and 5, right? Yeah. Okay, let me give you 35 and 5, and it reads, Because thou hast a perpetual hatred and hast shed the blood of the children of Israel by the force of the sword in the time of their calamity, in that time that their iniquity had an end. Therefore, as I live, saith Yahawah, saith the Lord Yahawah, I will prepare thee unto blood, and blood shall pursue thee, saith thou. See if thou hast not hated blood, even blood shall pursue thee. Right? So the Most High is showing you that the sword of the Lord is now switched over from the apocalyptic time, and it's now pursuing, which it has been since Yahawashi rent the veil and opened the Holy of Holies. And during this time, now you can see that everything's going towards Esau's perpetual end and the end of his system in his world, and his sword not having the power that it had any before. I'm going to go. I also had Ezekiel 21. I should have hit that one before I went there, but that's okay. We'll go there. 21. Then I had 3 through 5, right? Yeah. Ezekiel chapter 21, 3 through 5, and it says, "And say to the land of Israel, thus saith Yahawah, behold, I am against thee, and I will draw forth my sword out of its sheath, and will cut off thee, uh, the righteous and the wicked." See, the Most High that's what I'm saying. In the prophetic timeline, everybody's going to be touched, righteous and wicked. I'm telling you. 4, see then that I will cut off from thee the righteous and the wicked. Therefore shall my sword go forth out of its sheath against the flesh from the south to the north, that all flesh may know that I, Yahawah, have drawn forth my sword out of his sheath, and shall return and not return anymore. Right? Sign therefore, thou son of man, with the breaking of thy loins, and with bitterness sigh before their eyes. Okay? So the Most High is going to crack down, and he's going to have his wrath come on the whole world. And we're going to get to that scripture too. You know that's coming. Just want to make sure you know what we're dealing with on point. Okay, so now you have a point where in Denzel is he feeding the prey to feeding the predator to the prey, and he's in the position of trying to get himself together. And then as he's doing that, and while he's doing that, he had a white stone that he used to sharpen his sword. And so what does the white stone signify? Salvation, right? So that's Revelation. So let's go to Revelation, all right? Revelation. So we go into Revelation 2 and 17, right? All right. 2:17, and it reads, "And he that hath an ear, let him hear what the Spirit saith unto the churches," or to the Israelites. "To him that overcometh, I will give to eat of the hidden manna, and I will give him a white stone, and in the stone a new name written, which no man knoweth, saving he that receiveth it." So when you get that white stone, you get black stone, you know that's the opposite of what you get from the white stone, from the purity of cleansing that the Father has through the cleansing and purification for us going into the kingdom. But Denzel was sharpening the sword of the Lord with a righteous white stone. You notice that? Did you pick that up with your spiritual eyesight when you saw the movie? Did you look right past that? That was right there in front of your face. All right. And then it says the sword is power given by Yahawah. Right. And of course, in Genesis chapter 27 and 46, we know that that's the case as well. Right. Let's go there for a minute. See, I pulled scriptures on all this stuff, man, because I knew I just had to take a look at the movie again with the Yahawah welling up my spirit and the spiritual eyesight to see what was there in that movie that was so spiritually enlightening, and that's why I was reading it as I was, and I talked about how Esau is getting the sword, and through 37 on down, but 46 I got down to the bottom. It says, "And Rebekah said to Isaac, I am weary of my life because of the daughters of Heth. If Jacob take a wife of the daughters of Heth, such as these which are of the daughters of the land, what good shall my life be to me?" See, this whole process going down of the birthright is so important in terms of where it has to be presented and staged and kept, that even Rebecca at this particular time, going into her later years to soon transition home to the Most High, she had issue with the way this was going to go. In other words, she was confident that Jacob got the blessing, but she was kind of concerned on how it was going to be used and how it was going to be manifested later on as through the rest of the lineage, right? Which we know that everything turned right, but she didn't know at the time. She was still unsure. Okay, when we talk about, where was I at? Okay, also, I had Second Ezra chapter 6 and 7. So let me pull that up. I got to get to my apocrypha for that. Do I have it there? No, that's not it. Let me go back. That's my blue letter. I thought I had it up. I guess I didn't. Let me go back to my blue letter. Okay, sorry. I did have Isaiah 34. Let me get that. I didn't pull up my apocrypha. I should have had my book out. I got my book here. Let's see. Second Ezra, right? Yeah. Second Ezra 6. And yeah, Second Ezra 6 and 7, right? Second Ezra 6 and 7, it says, Then answered I and said, What shall be the departing asunder of the times, or when shall be the end of the first and the beginning of it that follows? And he said unto me, From Abraham unto Isaac, when Jacob and Esau were born of him, Jacob's hand held fast the heel of Esau. 9, for Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that follows. See that? So right then and there, you saying the sword is changing. The sword of the Lord is changing from from Esau to Jacob. And you see the same thing in Obadiah 1:18 when Esau's going to be taken down. So I just wanted to make sure I got that part. I know I had my apocrypha in my Bible there, so Shalaki for not calling it out and staying on point. But I ain't lose nothing. I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. Okay, we're going to Psalms 17, and it's 13, and it reads, Arise, O Yahawah, disappoint him, cast him down, deliver my soul from the wicked, which is thy sword. See, when Denzel's wielding this sword, he's using the sword of the Lord in having spiritual power, being a blind man, and being able to do the things he's doing. And you notice everything's close contact too. You know, he had other swords that he used in terms of guns, but at this point, he's using that sword, and that he was very, very proficient in doing that in that movie, right? Okay, and then once Denzel sat down, was chilling, for the night and getting ready to just take it easy and get it going. He played a song. Now, this particular song, most of us know it, and I pulled quite a few scriptures on this song because I thought it was important for us to be able to relate how Esau knows scripture, and he'll put scripture in songs, and he'll put scriptures in words, and he'll put scriptures in movies, and he'll show you various stuff. And if you don't have the eyesight to see it, it'll blow right past you, man. So I was looking at this song, right? And we're gonna go through some of the way it went down in terms of the lyrics, and then match up the scriptures to some of the song as well. Okay, the song by Al Green. How can you mend a broken heart, right? And when you think about whether a broken heart can be mended, you think about that. What are some of the psalms and some of the precepts that speak to it from Bahasham that talks about how to mend a broken heart, right? So I had I went to the book of Psalm here, right? And I went to 147, and I went to 3, and it says, He healeth the broken in heart and bindeth up the wounds. You see what I mean? So this is what the Most High will do for you. He can healeth the broken heart and bindeth up the wounds. Also had Luke, go to the book of Luke, and I had chapter 4, was a precept I pulled, and 18. And that one says, the Spirit of the Lord is upon me, because he hath anointed me to preach the gospel to the poor. He hath sent me to heal the brokenhearted, see, and to preach deliverance to the captives and recovering of sight to the blind. See how that matches up with the way the movie was going? Denzel was playing the Al Green song of how can I heal a broken heart, right? And at the same time, the scripture feeds right into it. And he's a blind man. He says, he recovering of sight to the blind, to set at liberty them that are bruised, which is what he was looking to do with bringing the book forward, going west and fulfilling his mission. You see what I'm saying? So that fits right in there. And then the next part of the lyric, he's saying, how can you mend a broken heart, right? He said, I can think of younger days, right? Right? He said, I can think of younger days when living for my life was everything a man could ever want to do. Okay, so when we talk about I could think of younger days, right? That took me to Ecclesiastes, right? When I for precept, I went to Ecclesiastes for that particular precept at that time, right? And in Ecclesiastes, you get there. All right, got it. And that would be 11. Okay, and I was Ecclesiastes 11 and 7 was the first verse I had, right? And, truly the light is sweet and a pleasant thing it is for the eyes to behold in the sun. So we would clearly see that, knowing that that was the case. And then we also had 12, 14, 12, and then what? Yep, did I get that right? Yeah, yeah, uh-huh. Because see, you're supposed to search for Yahweh while you're still young. Okay, that's what was a precept I was looking for. I think I had that, didn't I? No, I sure didn't. I thought I did. Okay, I could. And the next verse, I think it was what was it? For my life was even uh, was everything that a man could want to do. I could never see tomorrow, right? I was never told about the sorrow. So not being able to see tomorrow, what was that? I think it was James. Yeah, that was in James. James 4, right? Let's get that. Yeah, James 4. And yeah, it was 13 to 15, right? Yeah. Go to now, ye that say today or tomorrow, we will go into such a city and continue there a year and buy and sell and get gain. Okay, so we could see right there, and it says, whereas ye know not what shall be on the morrow, for what is your life? Question. It is even a vapor that appeareth for a little time and then vanish away. For they, yea, ought to say, if the Lord will, we shall live and do this to that, right? But now ye rejoicing and you're boasting, all such rejoicing in evil. So you can see here that when he brought the scripture, when he brought the lyric forward, it took me to James. It also took me to what, Proverbs, I believe I had on my precept list too. Let's see, what was I got on Proverbs? Where is it? Mhm. Proverbs. I think I had 22. No, 20. Was it 27? Proverbs 27, right? And what did I have? One, right? Boast not, boast not thyself of tomorrow, for thou knowest not what a day may bring forth. Let another man praise thee, and not thine own mouth, a stranger, and not thine own lips, right? So the Father is telling you, um, boast not thyself to tomorrow, for thou knowest not what a day may bring forth. And this is absolutely correct. So he didn't know, and Denzel didn't know what would bring in the next day. That's why he was walking blind through the whole thing, right? He says, okay, right? I could never see tomorrow, right? I was never told about the sorrow, right? And that would take me to precepts in Philippians as well as Second Corinthians. So in Philippians, up there had 21:4 in that one. Let's see here. Yep, Philippians 4, and I had 21:4. Salute every saint in Hamashiach Yahawashi. The brethren which are with me greet you, right? It was what, 21 and 1, right? Now I had, therefore, my brethren dearly beloved, the longing for my joy and crown, so stand fast in the Lord, my dear beloved, right? That was Philippians 2, was that 2 and 4? Did I get 2? Slocky. 2 and 4. Yeah, no, I'm sorry. Look not every man on his own things, but every man also on the things of others. So you didn't know that the sorrow that you the sorrow that you would come upon would bring you into this nature. What you're trying to do is you're trying to follow through. I also have Second Corinthians 7 and 10. So go there with me. That's Second Corinthians. Where am I at here? Yep. There it is, Second Corinthians, and I put down 7 and 10, right? For God, it says, for godly sorrow worketh repentance to salvation, not to be repented of, but the sorrow of the world worketh death. For behold, this selfsame thing that ye sorrowed after a godly sort, what carefulness is wrought in you, yea, what a clearing of yourselves, yea, what indignation, yea, what fear, yea, what vehement desire, ye, that zeal, yea, what revenge. In all things ye have approved yourselves to be clear in this matter. So as the Most High is giving us through, when he's bringing these scriptures out in this lyric, and he's saying, for godly sorrow worketh repentance to salvation, right? Not to be repented of, right? So in other words, you know for a fact, if you feel sorrow about the things that you've been going through and the task of moving through this prophetic process forward, you're going to have sorrow about various situations that come upon you. Like, for instance, I have a lot of children, right? And I have my sorrow to this as well, because I think about the fact that there's nothing I can do to save them if Bahasham Yahawashi doesn't save them. If they're not steered in the direction of the truth and predestined for that to happen, I'll have sorrow about that, right? Because I can't predict what's going to happen tomorrow with them or me or anyone else. But you know, you praise, worship, and pray that it could be that way for them. I mean, at some point they have a formulation of coverage over them from a man in the Lord who is serving the Lord, and if they're of a nature where they are young women who aren't married, and they have a covering of their father, their dad, at some point. But at certain points, they still have to fulfill their lot in the event. And I have sorrow about that. If they were to perish, I don't want to see it, but I mean, I can't do anything about it. I can't stop something that Yahawashi plans to do. You know, that's why I can never. I was never told about the sorrow, right? And so how can you mend a broken heart? How can you stop the rain from falling down, right? Which was another lyric. And of course, that takes me to a couple of places as far as the rain falling down. Let's see, where was I? I had Joel, of course. Joel. Slocky. All right. Going to Joel. And it was Joel, what I had. Joel chapter 2, of course. and I've had what 23 through 31, right? Thing says here, right, 23, 21. Be glad ye then, ye children of Zion, and rejoice in Yahawah your power, for he hath given you the former rain moderately, and he will cause to come down for you the latter, the rain of the former, and the rain and the latter rain in the first month. So when we talk about the former rain and the latter rain, obviously we're talking about the fact that prophetically saying when the Father puts down a certain level of prophecy that's going to fulfill in its time frame, in its timeline, as I said before, he is giving you the former rain, and he's also giving you the latter rain, which is telling you about what is to come. And in that rain, you can have blessings, or you can have cursings, depending on how he lays that rain out. So that rain can indicate or signify a variety of different ways that prophetic process is being fulfilled. So we will get the former and the latter rain, as it says in Joel in that passage there, right? That was, yep, that was 2. What else? Did I have Joel? Let me see. 2, yeah, we did 2, we did 31. Yes, we did. Right, and it says, we got that one, yep, Joel 23 and 21. Then it says here, the rain, I cannot stop the rain from falling down. Tell me, how can you stop the sun from shining, right? That's also in Joel, right? Joel 2, 31. The sun shall be turned into darkness, and the moon into blood before the great and terrible day of Yahawashi come. Now we saw that in the movie where Denzel talked about the fact that a hole came into the atmosphere and the sun came through and burnt up everything. But then after that, you had with the missiles and everything hitting, you had a nuclear fallout where it was a cloud that covered the atmosphere, and so that no sun would shine through. So just as the Father said in Scripture here in Joel, the sun shall be turned into darkness and the moon into blood for that great and terrible day of Yahawashi come. And we get a lot of times where we talk about, myself and others, about we want the day of the Lord to come and be finished so that we can get out of here. But see, the thing about that, in terms of, if you want to look at the realistic aspect of it, none of us are ready for the day of the Lord. None of us are really prepared for that. We want it with a heavy heart, and we want it with an uncertain mindset of, we really don't know what we're going to get, or whether or not we'll be able to make it in the light of everything that's coming so heavy on us. That's a very strong burden of power to think about. You want to handle. The day of the Lord is nothing to play with, man. It's going to be so bad, combined with what's going on with Jacob's trouble, that none of us are prepared for it. And plus, the Father's telling us that the elect are going to scarcely make it. So what does that say about the day of the Lord for any and everyone else that's on the face of the earth? We're talking about a serious, horrible situation coming down. And I know I'm not ready. I'm not going to lie and say I'm ready for that, because I don't think any of us are ready. But hey, some people say that they can deal with the fact that the sun won't shine. Okay, well, we'll see how much you can deal with that. I'm not going to say that. I fear the Father and what he's getting ready to do, boy, because when he cuts that loose, man, oh, Lord, have mercy, have mercy, have mercy. I'm going to Psalms chapter 60, and I was hitting 20. No, it wasn't 20, was it? What was it? Was it 6? Was it Psalm 6? I wasn't sure. Let me go back. I wrote down so many scriptures so fast. You gotta, Shalak, you gotta bear with me. No, that wasn't it. I know I didn't write that one down there. I had Joel. I had Isaiah 40, didn't I? Yeah. got to keep an order in what I'm writing. When you take your notes, sometimes I remember Brother Malcolm was talking about, man, I'm trying to make sure I can read my own writing. Especially when you write fast like me. I just write so fast, man. Sometimes I can't even pick up on the stuff I wrote. I wanted to talk about here when this verse here, when he talked about how can after he says, tell me, how can you stop the sun from shining, and what makes the world go round? But we know that in the time of Gideon, that when Gideon had that war, the sun stopped for a while. It was still shining, but it did stop for a while. The Most High stopped the sun to give him more time for that war between those Philistines to be over with. But in Isaiah 40 verse 12, it says, who hath measured the waters in the hollow of his hand, and out metered out the heaven with a span, and comprehended the dust of the earth in a measure, and weighed the mountains in scales and the hills in a balance. That's the Father. He's the only one that makes the world go round, okay? How can you mend this broken man? How can a loser ever win? Somebody, please help me. See, this is the verse that that Al Green's song was going through, that Denzel was listening to when he was resting, right? Proverbs what I had 3, yep, and I had 5 and 6. Proverbs chapter 3 and 5 and 6 was given me. Trust in the Lord, trust in Yahawah with all thy heart, and lean not unto thine own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths. Be not wise in thine own eyes. Fear Yahawah and depart from evil. So we know this is how you get a man's broken heart is mended. This is how a loser can win through that. Then we went to, where was I at? Yeah. Then we went down and says, and then we went into, we didn't see in the beginning that Denzel was blind. We thought, because I thought, I was looking at the movie and I was like, man, he's doing all this, and it didn't appear that he was blind. And when you look at his eyes, sometimes when you see a blind person, they look like they have sort of like a haze over their eyes, or they look like, the pupils, or the cornea area of the eye itself is usually discolored, or sort of like a pale white color, or gray color. And that wasn't the case with his eyes at all. Of course, they could have manufactured that with Hollywood makeup crap or whatever. But they didn't do that. They left his eyes as is, because if you're born blind from birth, you can also look like your eyes are normal, but you can't see, right? But when it talked about the fact that we didn't know that Denzel was blind, because I didn't know it in the beginning when I was watching the movie, and I thought he was just doing this from the power that the Lord gave him. Yeah, but I didn't know he was blind until towards like the middle of the movie. But I had went to John chapter 9, right? So go with me, John 9, and I had 39, and it reads, and Yahawashi said, for judgment I am come unto this world, that they which see not might see, and that they which see might be made blind. Now see that? So you had a lot of similitudes where Denzel in himself, he was blind, but the rest of the people were even more blind, even though more blind than he was. He had no eyes to see at the time. So you can see the magnitude of that particular precept coming through that portion of the movie. Next, I was going to 2 Corinthians, and I was at 5, and I had 7 for we walk by faith and not by sight. We know that when I was giving you that one from the beginning. I also had Luke chapter 11. All right, Luke 11, and where was I at? 34. Yeah. Luke 11, 34 through 36 with Yahawashi, right? And he says, The light of the body is the eye. Therefore, when thine eye is single, thy whole body also is full of light. But when thine eye is evil, thy body also is full of darkness. Take heed, therefore, that the light which is in thee be not darkness. Now that's powerful. That's fire right there. And we saw that within the movie in the fact that the light of the body um, is the eye. So Denzel was moving and using that sword, and his body was doing stuff that was remarkable for a blind man. And therefore it says, therefore, when thine eye is single, thy whole body also is full of light. And man, he was like a lightsaber. He was like a Jedi lightsaber with that sword. He was wielding that thing, man, and he was going and touching and flipping dudes. And man, I tell you, that was some serious spiritual power in a more realistic capacity in terms of the Marvel supernatural stuff. That it may still be the case when the Most High puts spiritual power on who's selected for that process. Every band and every one who may be selected as a 1/3 or in that category may not get supernatural or spiritual power. Now, I can't say that 144 will probably have it, but we don't know who they are either. So as of yet, you know. So we also had Matthew, where I pulled something in reference to your site. I had Matthew 15, right, and 14. And it reads, let them alone, they be blind leaders of the blind, and if the blind lead the blind, both shall fall into a ditch. We use that a lot because we know that that is the case, right? And then I had, what was it, 23? Yep, yeah, Matthew 23, and I had 16, and that one reads, woe unto you, ye blind guides, which say, whosoever shall swear by the temple, it is nothing. But whosoever shall swear by the gold of the temple, he is a debtor. Ye fools and blind, right? Whether is greater, the gold or the temple that sacrificeth the gold? And whosoever shall swear by the altar is nothing, but whosoever sweareth by the gift that is upon it, he is guilty. You see what I'm saying? Ye fools and blind, for whether is greater, the gift of the altar that sanctified the gift, or that whether is greater, Shalaki, the gift or the altar that sanctified the gift? Question. Whoso therefore shall swear by the altar sweareth by it and by all things therein. And whosoever shall swear by the temple sweareth by it and by him that dwelleth therein. And he that shall swear by heaven sweareth by the throne of Yahawah and by him that sitteth thereon. 23. Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for ye pay tithe of mint and anise and cumin, and have omitted the weightier matters of the law, judgment, mercy, and faith. These ought ye to have done, and not to leave the other undone. Ye blind guides, which strain in a gnat and swallow a camel. Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for ye make clean the outside of the cup of the platter, but within they are full of extortion and excess. 26. Thou blind Pharisees, cleanse first that which is within the cup and platter, that outside of them may be clean also. And see, that's what Carnegie was looking to try to do. He was amongst the blind Pharisee. He wanted to use the book to control and subvert people. He wasn't trying to use the book, and he couldn't, because he was an Edomite and he was evil. And he wanted to use the book to basically not only control people, but tear people down and demean people and keep people who are weak in mind and weak in stature and spirit and use it against them. And Denzel, of course, knew that, because he was on the side of the Lord and moving in that direction. So this is a typical example of how the Pharisees and individuals operate in that manner. And we see a lot of what's being taught to date operating in this same fashion. When people want to dismiss Paul and get rid of Hebrews and various other books, and then go in the name of a false deity, calling on Jesus Christ, ignorantly calling on that, knowing that the Yahawashi is the name, and knowing the name. So we can absolutely see how they're operating in the Pharisee type fashion, being blind and leading those that are also blind. Okay, where you at? Right. So as I said here before, so we didn't see or think that Denzel was blind, but he was, and with our own people and the perception on Esau, the hijackers used the woman to set up to take take away the word of Yahweh. And you saw Denzel saw what was going on during that time, but he didn't participate, right? So what did he do? He kept to the path because he was told to continue on the path, right? And so then we saw that Esau gets taken down by Jake, given spiritual power by Yahweh, and all of them got the sword. We saw that when I showed you the clip. And the one that got it first was the one that touched him first, like the time when he saw these hijackers on the road, and he told the guy, if you touch me with that hand again, you're not going to get that hand back. And what did he do? He touched him again, and he chopped the hand right off. So he asked him, once he chopped the hand off, and then after he took out the rest of the hijackers, and then he went down to talk to that one, that the Edomite that was left on the ground, all nasty and dirty and smelly, and he didn't say a word to him. He just went down and he asked him, "Who are you?" And then he kind of pulled in towards him and then took the sword and just kind of slid it into him like that, right? and he didn't say anything to him at all, right? And he saw those hijackers previously who had, what did they do? As usual, they raped, robbed, and murdered 2 people. But he wasn't interested in staying. He wasn't interested in trying to do anything because the Most High told him in his spirit, "No, you have to stay on the path and make sure you take the right." Because when he got to that crossroad, he could have went left to go into wherever, or he went right to go into town. So he took the right path and he went right into town during that time. Remember, and that's what he needed to do in order to fulfill that portion of the mission, right? And then once he got in town, you notice that he went to try to get his Walkman charged, right? Because that was the purpose. So he wanted to get some water, and he wanted to get his Walkman charged so he could continue on his mission for the Father, right? And then he said, so when he went into the store front, or to the merchant who had the ability to charge his Walkman, he asked Denzel and Eli, "Do you have the coin or a method of trading for trading things of value?" And we noticed that once this stuff happens and once everything shuts down, and we have, let's just say, the CBDC going on, or the Fed now, whatever it is, the value of what we have now is not going to be worth anything in the beginning and the interim of the situation. Stuff that we take for granted now that we have, we take it for granted because we have it in abundance, and so it doesn't mean much to us. But when he was trading with this guy, he was giving him simple things, like he told him he had some cat oil that would be good for him, like, and the oil was also very important, and it has a significance as well, because remember the 10 virgins that didn't have their oil, and during the time of tribulation, when the time came when they needed to have it, they didn't have it. But he's trying to barter and trade oil. He also had to show him his hands, remember, to make sure he was not infected. And then he was giving him a lighter. He said, "Well, I got a few of those already." And then when he pulled out these KFC clean wipes, remember, he pulled out a couple of KFC. He was like, "Oh yeah." And that was really important, because it's something that we take for granted. How many of us, when we get clean wipes or whatever, we just use them and just toss them and whatever? They only think about it, but think about it. During that time, that was a very valuable commodity to trade with. We don't know exactly what you're going to need to trade with. We know silver and gold will be primarily something that you could use, but there'll be other things that will be so valuable that we take for granted and throw away so often. And Denzel made reference to that in the movie as well, because I remember him doing that. Um, so, and then, he was attacked once he finished trading with the man to get his Walkman charged. He went into the bar, right? And then when he went into the bar, um, he had to deal with bribery in terms of he had to offer something to bribe them to get what he needed to move forward on his mission, right? And at some point in time, uh, after he fought those men with thorns and thistles, like from Genesis chapter 3:18 and 19, and he brought both that scripture and he tore them up. Then after that point, remember Carnegie had him come and stay with him because he knew that he had something but didn't know exactly what it was. And then he showed Solara a little bit about the book he had, but she didn't know whether it had any writing in it or not, but she knew he knew the book. And he taught her a little bit about a prayer. And then, of course, he tortured her mother a little bit to find out all of what he had. And then at that point, the movie went forward to the degree where he finished his overnight stay in comfort. Remember, he got fed well, he got water to wash and drink, he had company, he shared some scripture, and then he got out of jail, or he got out of that spot. And remember, they locked the door on him, and then Jake that was watching him outside, how did he get out without that Jake seeing him? Because when Carnegie and his goon came to check it out and say, okay, how did he get out of here? He went to see him in the morning. He was already at the spot where he was getting his Walkman charged and retrieving his property, so he was on his way out. And of course, what did they do? As soon as they saw that he was out, had to be the angels to let him out secretly, like they did with Paul and Silas. Remember, Paul and Silas were in jail, and the guard was watching over him, and then the Lord sent an angel and shook up the jail and opened up the jails and let them out. And even the guard was baffled by that situation, but he knew exactly what was happening. This guy knew he got out, but didn't know how he possibly did it. And then he turned around and just shot that Jake right in the head. See what I mean? And then they went after him. Then once they got downstairs and he got his possessions back and he was rolling out to go ahead and head on his mission, he had an exchange with the devil, with the demon, right? And the devil was talking about how powerful the book is, and if he had the book, he could control this city and build more cities and have more control, and the book was a weapon and this, that, and third. And which he was true in terms of that, but not to his use. See, that's how Esau uses our book now, which he's allowed to use the book, when he's directed to use the book. The Most High is in complete control of the way that he's using the book at this time. And we have to maintain a foundational expression and maintain a foundational application in making sure we explain that. We have to make sure that we, as I said, if you're going to complain, there's nothing wrong with complaining about the way certain instances affect you in the flesh while you're here, because that your flesh wars against the spirit all the time. So yeah, it will subject you to experiencing some things that aren't supposed to sit well with a righteous spirit. So you will complain if your spirit is trying to follow the righteous acts, like in Judges chapter 5. You're going to complain, but not complain to the degree where you don't do more explaining for Yahawah. So you complain enough, but you explain a great deal, and then you apply what it is that you have explained. And see, in that fashion, it balances out what needs to be done, so you won't flip-flop and act like you're talking about Esau having all this power that's uncontrolled, as though the Most High just, cut loose everything and just said, let it run its course. No, he didn't do that. He didn't cut loose all the things that are happening in the world that are wicked and righteous and just let them run their course, and he just sitting back and just letting it roll. No, he's got his hands. He's controlling absolutely everything that moves, everything in creation. And we fail many times when we're teaching and when we're talking and when we're bringing out precepts about the things that are happening in the prophetic timelines that are going to stretch out. We tend to many times, big up Esau in terms of what's coming. Like recently, we're talking about the fact that the famine of the word is in subjection through Canada, and then how they're going to go at anyone that's not only bringing out things that they can construe as being offensive to people in this world system. But, you know, if they even assume that you're doing it and you may not have done it, they're going to hold you in contempt for that as well. But see, doing the fact that they're saying they're going to do it, no, it's the Most High is using them to do it, because this pushes his prophetic timeline along. As I said, you're going to go through the timeline, and as you go through the timeline until you get to the end of that prophecy, you have to live within that. You have to survive within that, unless you don't plan on surviving within that. You know, the Most High is not going to scoop up manna from the grass and feed you with a spoon in your mouth, the manna from heaven. Even when he gave the manna to them, he told them they had to go collect it. They had to collect it. When he pushed the quail out there so that they can go and eat quail, eat that type of a meat, chicken type meat, he didn't barbecue the quail for them. He didn't defeather a quail and say, okay, look, there it is, looks just like a chicken, go ahead and eat it. He didn't do that. He sent the quail into the area, right? You had to catch the quail, kill that quail, defeather that quail, clean that quail out of the innards and stuff, right? And you had to, you know, take off the head or not and legs or whatever, and then cook it in some way. I mean, you gonna eat it raw. You ain't a beast like Esau. So you have to participate in the prophecy. In the prophetic timeline, you have to participate in a way that you are performing the directives of preparedness. Because he gave us a spirit to do that. But if you think that you're going to just sit back and don't do nothing, then what kind of man or woman of the Lord are you? Who are you? So, again, the prophetic process that's going to move forward in the timeline that it does, you have to participate until you get to the end of that prophecy, and then the next one starts until they are all completed. And each one has a similitude of a certain amount of time that you're supposed to prepare within that process. Bahasham, Yahawashi it can't get me to stress this enough, because it needs to be addressed. Because I'm gonna tell you, once that tribulation, once that isolation tribulation and that shutoff point, the cutoff point comes, and everything goes dark in terms of communication, even if you right next to someone, you still are going to be isolated in your own personal situation, because anything else you got going on outside of what you're doing for the Lord and the brotherhood, if it's going to be addressed, it's going to be in non-communication. It's going to be in darkness at that point. So you need to think about that, you know. And so that in itself is what we're talking about in terms of we gotta start thinking and talking foundationally who's in control of what we're supposed to do and how we're supposed to operate and activate and operate when we're dealing with the prophetic timeline that stretches out before the next prophetic timeline or prophecy is initiated, and then what level of time is stretched out within that timeline. Because if you don't get an instant chariot ride, and what if you're not a 144? What if you're a 1/3 and you have to go through the tribulation as a 1/3? We don't know. We can't answer that part of it because we don't know how fast he's going to lift the 144 out and the 1/3. We don't know. We don't know. We can prophesy in part, we can know in part, but we don't necessarily know exactly how that's going to pan out. So we are told to prepare. Every one of the Most High's elect were always given a directive to prepare for his wrath, because the wrath is going to be on the whole world, not just on a few of us. It's going to touch the wicked as well. See, we got precept for that. Let's get some of it now. Okay. All right. We're going back to Ezekiel, so bear with me. We're going to Ezekiel, and we're going to bring out some of the precepts on that. We're going to start at Ezekiel chapter 3. So go with me. Ezekiel 3, and I'm going to give you 18 through 19, and it reads, when I say unto the wicked, thou shalt surely die, and thou givest him not warning, nor speaketh to warn the wicked from his wicked way to save his life, the same wicked man shall die in his iniquity, but his blood will I require at thine hand. See? So the Most High is telling you, we are to tell them, but we can prepare for what's going to happen to the wicked if we're on this earth too. And if you're in this flesh, you're going to be subjected to seeing what happens to the wicked and seeing what happens to some of people who you didn't think were wicked, but now you see the judgment happen to them, which could happen to us as well. We may also be construed as the wicked to the Father. We can't say until you really get into the situation where you're there. And that's something that you need to pay close attention to. What else I got? The punishment for the wicked. All right, we're gonna go to Ezekiel 7. All right, because that gives a great indication on the punishment. Ezekiel chapter 7, and this is the punishment for the wickedness unfolds. 1. Moreover, the word of Yahawah came unto me, saying, Also thou son of man, thus saith Yahawah power unto the land of Israel, and end is come upon the four corners of the land. See, Israel's going to be touched, man, just like the Edomites and the heathens of the world as well. Now is the end come upon thee, and I will send my anger upon thee, and I will judge thee according to thy ways, and will recompense upon thee all thine abominations. And we got a lot of people who just perform abominations. Now, some of us, we perform abominations, and we don't know that we're actually doing it unless we've been studied enough in this word to find out what way we're supposed to walk and what way we're supposed to act. And that includes me and anyone else. You know, and people who think that they can eat abominable foods and believe that it's okay because they get Paul's message wrong. No prophet was ever supposed to start eating abominable foods when the Most High even said in the New Testament that he's coming back against those that are hiding behind groves and trees and eating swine's flesh and the mouse. Okay, it's right there in the New Testament. So if you think you get a pass just because you think Paul said that, you know, you shouldn't have to worry about sustaining from foods that are meant for idols, because you can eat that, or that you can also eat and have no man judge you against the Sabbath day or meats, roughly paraphrase, and then you think you can eat anything that doesn't subject you to eating abominations because they weren't meant to be eaten. So that's the purpose. They were not meant to be eaten. Okay, so don't get that twisted. Moving forward. 3. Now is the end come upon thee, and I will send my anger upon thee, and will judge thee according to thy ways and all and Shalaki, thy ways, and will recompense upon thee all thine abominations. And my eyes shall not spare thee, neither will I have pity, but I will recompense thy ways upon thee, and thine abominations shall be in the midst of thee, and ye shall know that I am Yahawah. See, the wacky tacky Christians and stuff, they never read that. They think that the Most High ain't going to do anything to people. But hey, listen to what he's saying. Thus saith Yahawah power, the Lord power, and evil, and only evil, behold, is come. And end is come, and the end is come, is watcheth for thee, behold, it is come. 7. The morning is come unto thee, O thou that dwellest in the land. The time is come, and the day of trouble is near, and not, that's Jacob's trouble, right? And not the sounding again of the mountains. Now will I shortly pour out my fury upon thee, and accomplish mine anger upon thee, and I will judge thee according to thy ways, and will recompense thee for all thine abominations. 9. And mine eyes shall not spare, neither will I have pity. I will recompense thee according to thy ways and thy abominations that are in the midst of thee, and ye shall know that I am Yahawah that smitteth. See, he's repeating to tell you he ain't serious. He's serious about this. Behold, the day, Shalaki, behold the day, behold, it is come. The morning is going forth. The rod hath blossomed, pride hath budded. Violence is risen up into the rod of wickedness. None of them shall remain, nor of their multitude, nor any of theirs. There shall there be wailing for them, Shalaki. Neither shall there be wailing for them. The time is come, the day draweth near. Let not the buyer rejoice, nor the seller mourn, for wrath is upon all the multitude thereof. See, the Most High's wrath is on all the multitude thereof, right? For the seller shall not return to that which is sold, although they were yet alive, for the vision is touching the whole multitude thereof, which shall not return, neither shall any strengthen himself in the iniquity of his life. They have blown the trumpet even to make it ready, but none goeth to the battle, for my wrath is upon all the multitudes thereof. The sword is without, and the pestilence and the famine within. He that is in the field shall die with the sword, and he that is in the city, famine and pestilence shall devour him. But 16, but they that escape of them shall escape and shall be on the mountain like doves of the valleys, all of them mourning every one for his iniquity. See, now he even told you, look at that. He says, he's even talking about who could escape, right? But they that escape of them shall escape and shall be on the mountains, right? 17, all hands shall be feeble, and all knees shall be weak as water. They shall also gird themselves with sackcloth, and honor shall cover them, and shame shall be upon all faces, the baldness upon their heads. They shall cast their silver in the streets, and their gold shall be removed. Their silver and their gold shall not be able to deliver them in the day of wrath of Yahawah. They shall not satisfy their souls, neither fill their bowels, because it is the stumbling block of their iniquity. You see that? So we can see right now the Most High he's pouring out his wrath on the whole world, as I said before. Nobody's getting a pass here, okay? But even if they think they are, they won't. All right. Where we at? Next one is what was it? Proverbs. All right. Yeah, I'm going to Proverbs. Well, no, let me stay in Ezekiel for a minute, because I still got some more I wanted to get out of there. I think I'm on 33. Yeah, give me 33 and 11, right? Say unto them, as I live, saith Yahweh power, I have no pleasure in the death of the wicked, but that the wicked turn from his way and live. Turn ye from your evil ways, for why will ye die, O house of Israel? So the Most High, when I read this, it really wells up in my spirit to say, he's been so gracious and wonderful in giving us clues that we can fulfill the process of going through and around the tribulation that's coming. Don't mean we won't be touched. Don't mean we won't experience some very horrifying situations that's happening to other people as well as to people we know close enough, and even to ourselves to a degree. But he is so gracious in the way that he still wants to care for you and look after you, even though we have abominations and we're all a bunch of filthy pieces of shit. We still, mainly including myself, but he's still looking after us, and that's important. And I have proof of that, because all things are his, right? And he made all things for his pleasure. That's what Proverbs, right? We're going to Proverbs 16:4, right? And we'll go there. And it reads, Yahweh hath made all things for himself, yea, even the wicked for the day of evil. So you can see everything is under his complete control. He hasn't missed a beat, And I think at times we lose focus on a lot of what he's doing. Proverbs 15, I'm going there, and what was that, 29? Yeah. The Lord is far. The Lord is far from the wicked, but He heareth the prayer of the righteous. And that's what we need to understand. You know, He will hear the prayer of the righteous, but He won't listen to or hear the prayer of the wicked. And we're going to read about that too. I'm going to Exodus here for a minute. I got something I wanted to read. I pulled a precept on that. Exodus chapter 34. Join me there, please. And I'm going to start at 5. And it reads, "And the Lord descended in a cloud and stood with him there and proclaimed the name of Yahawah," right? "And Yahawah passed by before him and proclaimed Yahawah." See, and Yahawah power, merciful and gracious, long suffering and abundant in goodness and truth. You see, he loves us, but we got to pay attention to what he's saying, doing. 7, keeping mercy for thousands, forgiving iniquity and transgression and sin, and that will be no means clear of guilty. You see that? And he's telling you that, he said, and that will by no means clear the guilty, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children and upon the children's children unto the third and fourth generation. You see? So the Most High is not, he's long suffering, and he's not without mercy, but his prophecies and everything will be fulfilled. Everything will be fulfilled, but there will be timelines and time frames within finishment of prophecy. Finishment of prophecy is not the introduction of the prophecy. A lot of times that initiation of the prophecy that started it is not the finishment of it yet. Okay, so we got to be very clear on that. But there is an end to the wicked, right? I'm get ready to end it here. This is Psalms 37, and then we got another precept, a couple precepts to do, and then we'll be done. Psalms 37, all right? So go with me there, all right? This ain't that much, but we're going to read some of it. And this is, yep. All right, Psalm 37, and I'll read the top started. "Fret not thyself because of evildoers, neither be thou envious against the workers of iniquity. For they shall soon be cut down like the grass and wither as the green herb. Trust in Yahweh and do good. Shalt thou dwell in the land, and verily thou shalt be fed," right? "Delight thyself also in Yahweh, and he shall give thee the desires of thy heart." See, that's being obedient. You have to obey what he's saying and follow his direction, right? 5, commit thy way unto Yahweh. Trust also in him, and he shall bring it to pass, right? I stand on that so much. "And he shall bring forth thy righteousness as the light, and thy judgment as the noonday." 7, rest in Yahweh and wait patiently for him. Fret not thyself because of him who prospereth in his way, because of the man who bringeth wicked devices to pass. Now, I'm going to read that one again. Rest in Yahweh and wait patiently. Now, that doesn't mean do nothing. Okay? Don't get misconstrued with the fact that if you're resting in Yahweh, that you can just sit around and don't do anything at all. You still got to make moves. 8, cease from anger and forsake wrath. Fret not thyself in any wise to do evil. 9, for evildoers shall be cut off, but those that wait upon Yahweh, they shall inherit the earth. 10, for yet a little while, and the wicked shall not be. Yea, thou shalt diligently consider his place, and it shall not be. But the meek shall inherit the earth, and shall delight themselves in the abundance of peace. Now that meek is it's the Israelites. That's us, and we're the ones that inherit the earth. I want to go to Isaiah 13, and I'm going to finish out here. in terms of the lesson, because that's where he stopped me. Okay, so that's how it goes. Isaiah chapter 13. All right, and most of you know where I'm going with this anyway. And I'm gonna start at 11. All right, Isaiah chapter 13:11. And I will punish the world for their evil and the wicked for their iniquity. And I will cause the arrogancy of the proud to cease. And I will lay low the haughtiness of the terrible. I will make a man more precious than fine gold, even a man than the gold and the wedge of Ophir. Therefore, I will shake the heavens, and the earth shall remove out of her place in the wrath of Yahawah of hosts and in the day of his fierce anger. Right? And it shall be as the chased roe, and as a sheep that no man taketh up. They shall every man turn to his own people, and flee every one into his own land. Everyone that is found shall be thrust through, and everyone that is joined unto him shall fall by the sword. Their children also shall be dashed to pieces before their eyes, and their houses shall be spoiled, and their wives shall be ravaged. Behold, I will stir up the Medes against them, which shall not regard their silver as for their gold, and they shall not delight in it. Their boughs also shall dash the young men to pieces, and they shall have no pity on the fruit of the womb, and their eyes shall not spare children. And Babylon, the glory of kingdoms and the beauty of the Chaldees, which we're talking about over here now, right? Excellency shall be as when Yahawah overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah, right? And it shall never be inhabited, neither shall it be dwelt in from generation to generation. Neither shall the Arabian pitch tent there, neither shall the shepherds make their folds there. But wild beasts of the desert shall lie there, and their houses shall be full of doleful creatures, and owls shall dwell there, and styres shall dance there. And the last part, and the wild beasts of the islands shall cry in their desolate houses, and dragons in their pleasant places, and her time is near to come, and her days shall not be prolonged. Here, right where we are, ground zero in this country. Call hello, Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi, Bahasham, Rekakodash, Thuara, Yahawah. Forgive me, my Father, for my sins as I cry. How do I mend a broken heart? Call on Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi, Shalaki Yahawah, for my sins as I cry. Call on Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi, Babashai, Yahawah, for your mercy all the time. Call on Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi, call on Yahawah, Bahasham.